Now we are exploring ISO 20000, the global standard for IT service management, and its various parts. So ISO 20000 consists of three key parts, that is ISO 20000-1 that defines the mandatory requirements for implementing structured service management system. So it means that this is the standard where organizations can certify themselves. So this standard has auditable requirements, which is audited by a third party under some accreditation. Then the second part, which is the ISO 20000-2, it offers guidance and best practices for effectively applying these requirements in ISO 20000-1. So the part 2 helps you implement the requirements of ISO 20000-1. And then we have the part 3, which help organizations to define their scope and applicability, ensuring they meet compliance needs. So defining the scope is basically very crucial for IT service organizations, since the scope is very important for the management system itself and for the certification as well. So that needs to be defined properly while ensuring that the compliance objectives are met. So now let's move to the core requirements outlined in ISO 20000, starting with clauses 4 to 7 in the next slide. So now that we understand the structure of ISO 20000, let's explore the detailed requirements covered in clause 4 to clause 7. Clause 4 is the service management system context that needs organizations to establish a service management framework with a defined scope, with a defined process for context analysis, identifying the internal external issues, along with the identification of interested parties and their needs and expectations. So this will help the organization in identifying the and meeting the requirements of clauses that are coming later in this standard. Then we have the clause 5, which is the leadership. Leadership is very important. It is the nucleus of the standard. Without the leadership support, you are not going to implement the ITSM. Senior management, therefore, or top management must actively support and commit to the service management system. The leadership needs to define the roles, responsibilities, and service accountability across the organization. So communication framework they need to define. They need to define the policy, the top level policy for the IT service management system. So all these important roles are for the leadership, and they need to give the resources for the ITSM. So they are very important part of the management system. Then we have clause 6, which is the planning clause, where organizations need to identify risk and opportunities impacting the IT service quality. Strategic planning ensures continual service improvement and compliance with the business goals. Risk assessment and mitigation measures are mandatory for the service reliability. So if we go to clause 6 for the service reliability, we have to plan the service management system with defined goals for the service management. We need to have the objectives made for the service management system. So we need to establish and achieve those objectives. We have to plan how to achieve those objectives as well. So now coming towards the clause 7, which is a general clause for any management system, and it basically empowers organizations to have the infrastructure, the staffing, the technology for the ITSM, and that they need to have competent resources, IT professionals within their organizations, and if there is any gap, they need to have that training and skill development program available within the organization. They need to have the documentation and communication mechanisms that needs to be structured and accessible for effective service management. So these are the foundational requirements. Now let's explore clause 8 to 10 in the next slide. So let's focus on clause 8 to 10, which defines the core operational and performance requirements of ISO 20000 and its evaluation requirements as well. The clause 8 is very important, as some of the very specific requirements to IT services are available here. So organizations must manage service operations efficiently, covering all processes related to change management, related to asset management, related to service catalog management, and control of parties involved in the service life cycle, also about planning the services, services delivery, service portfolio, etc. So all these requirements are expressed in sub clauses of clause 8, which are specific for the service management system, and these are not very common with other management system standards. So this is about clause 8. Now we have the clause 9, which is on performance evaluation, and this basically mandates organizations to monitor and measure service performance using the KPIs. Then it also includes the internal audits requirement and the management review requirements within it to maintain compliance. So you also need to take some feedback from your customer to ensure improvement in the service efficiency. So the clause 10 then talks about, focuses on improvement only, and this is based on non-conformities, gaps, feedbacks, and anything that highlight deficiencies in the management system. So organizations must implement a structured improvement framework addressing corrective actions for the non-conformities or any gaps identified in the services, service innovation initiative for scalability, and a lesson learned to redefine the IT strategy. So clause 10 is also very important and should be adopted in a comprehensive way. So this was all about this lecture. I like to see you in the next one.